An email that Susan Rice wrote to herself in 2017 is coming back to haunt her over a decade later. Over the last 2 weeks, DNI Tulsi Gabbard has been declassifying reams of documents indicating that Barack Obama himself, as well as his top security officials, were behind the Russiagate hoax. Well, that really puts new perspective to this previously released email. Now, you'll notice, first off, there's a huge paragraph right there that is classified. We'll get to that in a second, but take a look at when Susan Rice wrote this to herself. So you'll see it came from her, it was sent to her, and she also CC'd Curtis R. Reed. But the most interesting part was that this was sent on Friday, January 20th, 2017 at 12:15 p.m. Why is that important? Well, January 20th, of course, was when President Trump was inaugurated, and inauguration begins at high noon on the 20th. So the fact that she sent this at 12:15 indicates that this was probably the last thing that Susan Rice did before she left and vacated the White House. Well, this email has ended up being declassified, and you'll notice right off the bat, President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement communities, quote, by the book, end quote. The president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would by the book. So in a single paragraph, she emphasizes that Obama is proceeding by the book. Now, that is very strange. First of all, it's kind of weird to send yourself an email. Now, look, I get people do it all the time in their normal lives. Like, sometimes recently I sent myself a copy of a warranty, so I would have it in my records, and I started that email just so that way if I ever need the warranty in the future, it's easy to find, right? But as a government official, on your last day, as the next president is being inaugurated, you send yourself an email basically defending the actions that your boss, Barack Obama, has done. And within that email, you are very clear to specify that it was by the book. The phrase by the book is very weird in the first place. For example, I work with an accountant for my taxes because I'm not a tax expert, and I think the tax code is really complicated and I don't want to accidentally mess something up. Well, let's say I end up getting, I don't know, audited by the IRS the next time a Democrat president comes in. And let's say at that point, they can also like go through all my emails to see, you know, I've been accused of fraud or something. Well, let's say I had emailed myself, oh, I told my accountant to do things by the book, and I stress in this email to myself over and over and over again, we talked about doing things by the book. He's going to file my taxes by the book. That in and of itself is weird, because if I'm hiring an accountant, the underlying assumption is that everything he's doing is by the book. Everything he's doing is legal. Everything he's doing is according to the tax code. That's why I hired him. So the fact that if, again, hypothetical, if I wrote to myself, oh, I told my accountant to do things by the book, that would raise red flags during an audit. And yet that is what Susan Rice is doing in this email over and over and over. It wasn't just that one paragraph. In the next paragraph, by the way, this is the paragraph that was previously classified. Director Comey affirmed that he is proceeding, again, quote, by the book, end quote, as it relates to law enforcement. But what's really interesting about this now declassified paragraph is that it indicates that they're already going after Michael Flynn at this point in time. So the third to last sentence here, President Obama asked if Comey was saying that the NSC, the National Security Council, should not pass sensitive information related to Russia to Flynn. Comey replied, potentially. Now, it is the job of the NSA, the National Security Advisor, to inform the president and advise the president on national security issues. Therefore, it is the job of the NSC to give all the information to the NSA. They shouldn't filter or hold back anything. In fact, filtering and holding back information is not by the book. It's undermining the role of the NSA. So again, you take a look at it, this entire email, Susan Rice, 3 separate times says Barack Obama is going by the book, yet we have proof that they were trying to go outside the book, circumvent the book, to undermine NSA Michael Flynn. So with all of that being said, with all of the newly declassified information from Tulsi Gabbard with promises of more to come, that email has taken on new life and is under even more scrutiny. Well, Representative Byron Donalds appeared on Fox News, and he was talking more about what we found that Barack Obama was actually doing when it came to Russiagate.
Crow saying that, everybody knew everything they needed to know. This isn't new. Your reaction?
My reaction is first to Mr. Crow. This information might have been there, but are we going to assume that the Biden administration was going to bring the necessary investigations? Understand, Joe Biden was vice president under Barack Obama. We know the history. And if it is Barack Obama's administration that ordered a new intelligence briefing, not based on any facts or any merits, but based upon the Steele dossier, that demonstrates why the former presidential administration under Joe Biden did not look into any of this, because they were covering up for the previous Democrat administration. That's number one. Number two, we all know that the Steele dossier was fake. And then when they ordered a new intelligence briefing, it was then Mr. Brennan who was overriding senior intelligence officials in the intelligence community who did not want to even go down the road of substantiating claims that the Russians were putting up Donald Trump as a stalking horse. That is the facts. Those are the histories. The reason why it hasn't been investigated is because Trump's first administration was frankly under a firestorm for 4 years dealing with the false intelligence from the Obama administration about Russia. We know
that is 100% true. Now, it's important to note this isn't just politics. This isn't just talking points. This isn't just bashing the other side. I know I've gone over this now in 2 videos, but again, I know not everyone watches every video, and I also know about 25% of my viewers for any given video are new viewers. So in case you haven't seen this, I want to go through the timeline again. But before I do that, I want to go back to Susan Rice's email, because this is really important. So on January 5, following a briefing by the intelligence community leadership on Russia hacking, blah, 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 blah. So January 5 is when Susan Rice talks about this meeting in the Oval Office. Now, it is not the meeting in the Oval Office, but it is one of them that led to Barack Obama telling them to do everything by the book. So January 5, Susan Rice, in her own words, in her own email to herself, keep that date in mind, January 5. Well, let's take a look at this timeline that Tulsi Gabbard declassified. So on December 7, they found that no foreign adversaries, yes, that includes Russia, hacked or manipulated the election results. This was also confirmed on December 8. This was going to be put into the presidential daily briefing. Well, on December 9, everything changed, because that's when they had the meeting in the Oval Office, in which, by the way, Susan Rice herself was there, John Kerry, James Clapper, John Brennan, Loretta Lynch, Andrew McCabe, you can keep going, but a lot of people were in that meeting. And then, all of a sudden, they changed their tune and they're coming up with a brand new report. Why? Because it was Barack Obama's request. You can see here, per the president's request. And all of a sudden, they changed their tune. Meanwhile, Susan Rice says they met on January 5, and Barack Obama said, let's go by the book. Well, going by the book, I mean, I've already released 2 videos on this, like I said, and it was very clear that they weren't going by the book. I mean, they had very clear standards of what they considered valid and credible evidence. It met none of those. They already had whistleblowers at the time. Just absolutely ridiculous. Well, Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa actually has called out Susan Rice on this email. He did so in 2018 and asked her to respond. And of course, when the mainstream media covered it, they were on full spin mode. CNN, the Susan Rice email isn't any sort of smoking gun. You want to know what it says in that article? Susan Rice did nothing wrong because Susan Rice says she did nothing wrong. They're basically using her email as evidence that, oh, everything was by the book. But again, you sent this on January 20th, presumably the last time you're ever leaving the White House, and then you painstakingly detail in this email to yourself that everything you guys did was, quote, by the book. Just very strange right there. But of course, we shouldn't be surprised that CNN covered up for Susan Rice. This is the same media that willingly pushed out the Russiagate narrative all this time.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes. Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President Trump says he still wonders if the Russians
hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
If he admits it, it counts.
So happy that Stephen Colbert is going to be off the air and looking for another job. There are rumors, I don't know if they're true, again, just rumors, that he's potentially looking at like joining CNN. Don't know how true that is, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if CNN or MSNBC tried to get him on their airwaves. But yeah, they were pushing that after the intelligence community was very certain as early as August and as late as December that Russia did not interfere, at least not in this way. Then all of a sudden, after Oval Office meetings with Barack Obama, they come out with a new report. Things that make you go, But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So Susan Rice emailing herself that they did things by the book. I mean, do you think people are overreacting to that? Or do you think that that is fishy and potentially a red flag or smoke that could indicate a fire? Let me know your thoughts on that email down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.